Hey guys, thanks for joining me for an episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at a brand new game coming to Kickstarter called Batman Gotham City Chronicles. This is Monolith Games' newest game. It is a 2 to 5 player game that takes roughly an hour to 2 hours to play, depending upon the scenario you've chosen for it. And it is a one versus many game, which means that most of the players are going to be playing the different iconic heroes, and then you'll have one player playing all the different villains. And depending upon who can accomplish their goals first will be the overall winner of the scenario that you've chosen to play. So this is a game that I've been super excited about covering for a while now. I got to see this one at the first time at Gen Con this year, which I have done. I did an interview with Monolith Games during Gen Con that covers a lot of the different features, which I'll include a link to that at the end of the video. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Monolith Games, they did a Kickstarter a couple years back for Conan, which was hugely successful. A really great game. It was one that I backed, and I have done a full teaching video for that one as well. If you guys are interested in that, I will also include a link to that at the end of the video. So with Batman now, they've taken the same system that they've used for Conan and listened to the critiques from players and gamers and critics and improved that system in Batman. So if you've played Conan, Batman is going to be very familiar to you, but it's also going to add some new things to it as well. They've really gone back and listened to everything and fixed as much as they could without compromising the system. It still plays very, very well, and it's just refined it to make it play even smoother since Conan. So, in my opinions of this one so far are very, very good. This is, like I said, I really enjoyed Conan, so I was really looking forward to seeing Batman and all the different things that they were going to do with it. And I'm not disappointed at all. This is a great game so far, and I mean, I'm just using the prototype right now, so I can't wait to see what this is going to do on Kickstarter. I can't wait to see all those different stretch goals that are going to be unlocked and all those things they're going to show us. And they're staying very true to the comics. They're not going to be going off of the movies or any of the video games or anything like that. So for those of you that are big comic fans for Batman, you're going to get to see a lot of those things come out. They've really put their heart and soul into this. So I really can't say enough about this one. Definitely check it out if you're a Batman fan, or if you like cooperative games or games where there's a lot of strategy involved. Definitely give this one a look. So let's go ahead and head to the table, and I'll show you what this is all about. So here we have one of the game boards that's going to be included in Batman the Game. So each one of these boards is super detailed. Monolith makes some of the most impressive boards I've seen for board games. And this board is absolutely massive. There's a part of it that isn't even shown in the camera, as you guys can see on this main picture. Again, this is just a prototype, so they are going to have better coloring and everything on the main board itself. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the features of the board. Each space is going to be separated by these white lines that is going to denote one space from another. And each line or each space is going to have a central dot as well, which is going to be to help you determine if you have line of sight to the space you wish to target. And you simply just draw a straight line from your space to the space you wish to target. And as long as it doesn't cross any barricades or obstacles or whatnot, or walls or anything, you have line of sight. And you're also going to notice that some of the spaces have letters on them. These spaces are going to help you identify as a secondary layer if you have line of sight with spaces that are super far or that you would normally think could potentially have obstacles in it. So such as this space up here has a letter E, which corresponds to this space over here. So that does mean that you have line of sight to it, even though it crosses a wall in a obstacle, because this space is elevated. So you can see over these things into this space, and that it helps easily identify that fact there, so you're not guessing whether or not you have line of sight or not. Now each space is also going to have a size limit, which is the maximum amount of models that can be in that space, and each model is going to have its size on it. Some models are going to be bigger than others and will take up more space. With buildings and that, you're also going to have a green line on there, which signifies that you have line of sight from the building to the space that is adjacent to it that has that green line. And vice versa as well. This space can see everything inside that building because it's separated by that green line. In Batman, a lot of the actions that the heroes are going to perform are going to rely on dice. And there's going to be 5 different levels of dice that you're going to use. White is the weakest, with only 2 sides of it having 2 successes, moving all the way up to the black dice, which has 4 successes on one side. So the higher up in the color arc that the heroes go, the more damage or more potentially more successes they were going to have. Moving over to the player boards now, the first thing I want to note is that this is a prototype copy. In the production copy, this black trimmed area is actually going to be a separate board itself, and the hero card will be sunk into it. Now, the outer board is going to list all the different actions a hero can perform. So we have melee, ranged, manipulation, and thought. And on the other side, we have the hero's armor, rerolls, and movement. At the bottom of the card, you're going to have the 3 different zones that you're going to have your gems moving around. You have your reserve, which you can spend those gems to perform different actions. You have your reserve, which is where your gems will go once they're spent and can move between these 2 sections. And then finally, you have wounds. As your hero takes damage, they're going to move gems from their reserve or their fatigue zone into their wound zone. And finally, from their reserve over to the wounds if they take more wounds than they have gems in their fatigue. At the beginning of the game, it's going to tell you how many gems are going to be placed in your section. So Batman will start the game with 11, and then most scenarios will have you move a certain number of dice or gems to the fatigue zone. So at the start of our first scenario, we'll have to move 5 gems over to our fatigue. So Batman will start the game with 6. And then at the beginning of each player's turn, the hero is going to have to state which stance they're in. Either they're active, and so they'll get 2 gems moved over from fatigue, and they can use those gems to do all the different actions, or they can be in a resting state, in which case then they're going to get to move 6 gems over, but they can't do any actions with those gems. They can spend them for rerolls and armor saves, but they won't be able to do any active movement or actions or attacks or anything. And then we also have the different weights. So as our characters pick up items, they're going to start getting weighed down, and they won't be able to move as fast. They won't be able to use some of their different abilities that have maximum limits on it. And then on the outside of the board, we have all these little icons, which are the different skills for our heroes, and they will be able to do different things. And each one of these skills is going to be referenced on a chart on a separate set of tiles. For example, with Batman, he has combo attacks. So when he performs a melee attack, if he kills an enemy, then he can automatically target another enemy in his space, and he will get to roll 1 red die, because that's the melee die he's using, to perform an additional attack on that enemy. And he also has martial arts. So when he performs a melee attack, if he rolls any successes, then he gets to add 1 additional success to those results. And that's how those different skills work. Then we also have attached to each one of our actions that we can perform, we have a picture of the color of the die that we're going to throw, and the maximum number of crystals that we can spend on that action. So for Batman, we can spend a maximum of 3 crystals on melee attacks, and we can either chunk those together and perform 1 massive melee attack where we're throwing 3 red dice, or we can separate those and perform multiple melee attacks by spending 1 crystal at a time, or 2, or however we want. Each crystal we spend will receive that color die for that crystal. And then finally, some of the characters for the heroes are going to have a utility build slot, which is going to list the number of utility points that they're going to start the scenario with. And before they move into the scenario, they're going to choose items that they want to have equipped to that utility belt. And each item is going to list the number on it. So this is the maximum number of slots that we have. So Batman can equip all these different things like the grappling hook and the batarang and all that. Then each hero is also going to have a size, so that is going to determine if they can fit into a space and how many models can be in a space and how much they're going to take up of that. Moving over to the villain player, he gets an entire tablet, which is going to be a hard plastic thing. Now this particular one, again, is a prototype. This is for Conan, as you guys can easily see. But the one for the Batman game is going to be very similar to this. And it's going to have its 2 sections, its reserve section and its fatigue section, again, for the gems that the villain player is going to have. Each turn at the beginning of the villain player's turn, it's going to show the number of gems that are going to be moved from his fatigue zone to his reserve. And it also will have 3 different sections to the top that the villain can spend additional cubes on for the models that he activates for movement, defense, and rerolls. And each one of these is also going to have a number on it that is going to be the maximum number of gems he can spend in that section. Then at the bottom of the card, we have the numbers that correspond to the player's river. And the river is where all the different enemy tiles are going to go. And as the villain player activates, he will get to spend gems to activate the villains that he wants to activate. So for example, if he wants to activate the brute with a shotgun, he's going to have to spend 2 gems, but when he does, he will activate all of that type of villain on the board at that time. And then he's going to move that to the ends of the river, and that will make other options for him cheaper. So we can start moving guys around and activating big nasty guys, or you can choose to activate big nasty guys as you guys need them as they come up. Now, the villain player is also going to have an event tile on there that will activate special things that are based on the scenario that the players are playing when he chooses to activate those. So let me take you through a quick round of combat so you guys can see how some of this different stuff works. So we're going to go ahead and say that it's the hero's turn, and the Batman player is going to go ahead and start. So first off, we're going to choose our stance. So we're going to go with our active stance. So we'll get 2 additional gems over to our board. And then we can perform our actions in any order we want, and we can do it in any order with the other players, and we can also bounce around. So Batman could perform an attack, and then we can move over to another player to do something, and we can come back to Batman to do something else if we wanted to. So first off, let's go ahead and start with an attack. So Batman is going to try to attack Bane here. And Bane's a nasty customer. He comes into this with 6 hit points, and he also has 2 automatic armor to him. So Batman can spend a maximum of 3 dice. So he's going to go ahead and do that. He's going to go ahead and try to knock Bane out here a little bit. So he gets 3 red dice. And let's see what we roll. All right, so we got 2 successful hits and a miss. So let's go ahead and spend 1 of our gems to go ahead and try to re-roll this. All right, so we got 3 successful hits, not the best. I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 more to try to re-roll one of these dice. All right, so that's a little better. So we did 5 successful hits. Plus, you want to check any of your stats or your abilities to see if they give you any additional, which Batman has martial arts. So it's going to increase that to another hit since he rolled 1 success. So he rolled a total of 6 successes. From here, then we head over to the villain player to choose what they want to do. So first off, Bane has 2 armor automatically, so he's going to wipe away 2 of those successful hits right off the bat. And then the villain player can choose to spend gems to roll additional dice. So let's go ahead and spend 2 gems to roll 2 armor saves. So each gem he spends, he gets an orange dice, and he stops 3 points of damage from that. Now we could choose to spend a gem to try to re-roll this orange and possibly get a second one, or we can roll a miss, and then we can spend another one to try to go again. You can do this up to either when you run out of gems or you've reached your maximum caps on your thing. So the villain player could spend a maximum of 4 gems to re-roll dice. So at this point, then we would resolve any damage that is done. Bane has actually stopped all the damage that Batman was able to do, so he does not take any damage. If Batman had any additional attacks or anything, then he could go again. Or, like I said, we could bounce around to another hero. Maybe Red Hood is back here and is going to jump in and try to do something, or Catwoman is going to attack Bane from the back. And so that is the way that the turn works. So I'm also going to show you guys these 4 resin models that I have for the game. Now these are going to be a little bit more detailed than the ones you're going to receive, but most of all the detail is going to come out. And these things are absolutely stunning, as you guys are going to see here. This first one that we're looking at is Bane. And the amount of detail that is in this model is just awesome. I cannot wait to paint some of these models. They look absolutely fantastic. The next one we have here is Robin. And just the poses that they have, the amount of detail that's involved with them, really, really nice models. These are going to take paint really well. For those of you that have backed or played Conan, these are the same type of models that are used for that. The next one we have is the Riddler. So just really nice, captures the feel of the model and the persona that the model is. So much great detail in these. And of course, the final model we have is Batman. Well, I hope that helped you guys decide whether or not you want to back the game. As always, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter's main page and drop them there. I'm sure they would love to answer anything you guys have as well. And if you guys enjoy what I do, if you like these videos, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking the video, as it will help me to continue to grow and bring great games to you guys. And I also want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate the fact that you take the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. And like I said, I would highly recommend this game. This is one that's been on my radar for a while. I truly enjoyed Conan, and I cannot wait to see what Batman has in store for us. There's all kinds of new things that they're introducing, and they're just making that system so much better. So like I said, I would highly recommend checking this one out. And again, this is my opinion. I also love to hear your guys' opinion. Stop by my Facebook or Twitter account, drop me some messages there. Let me know what you guys are playing or what your guys' thoughts are on this, if you're excited about it, and what you're looking forward to trying out in this one, or what's making you excited during the Kickstarter. So until next time, I will see you guys later.